we're back with another or a modified puller. So we actually put the nut on the inside this time, and made a better plate because we have to space it out. So what we've got is we've got the nut loose, we've got the nut on the axle, so when this thing comes off, it'll hit the nut. It's on a taper, so it just needs to pop off. Once it pops off, kind of like a ball joint, it's going to jump right off. It's not like we need to come very far with it. So I'm going to install this on the hub, and with any luck this time it will work. This certainly has been giving us a royal run for its money. So let me get this cinched down, and hopefully we'll be able to show you what it looks like when it jumps off of here. All right, I can only get 3 out of the 5 bolts tight on here. Needs to be wiggled around a little bit, maybe rotated to a different spot, but 3 bolts should be plenty enough. So we've bolted it down to the drum. We're going to push on the center bolt, which is going to push on the axle shaft, and hopefully that's going to allow everything to pull off of here. So we've got our big 3/4 inch DeWalt impact driver, and we're going to screw this down and we'll see what happens. Well, and I don't know if you could see that, but it jumped. So it came off this time. We had the nut on it, but you can see now it's loose. So success. This time it worked. We're good. That's how you take the drums off. Studebaker, Packard, any of these cars that have the big axle nut on them. Volkswagen, you'll see on the back of Volkswagens, they'll have a big nut, but the nut's held on with like 300 foot-pounds because the axle shaft is straight. It's not a cone. On these cars, it's a cone. So like a ball joint, you got 2 cones together. Once you break that grip, they come right off. So that's what we were able to do here. So we'll call this a success. I shall take all this apart, and then we'll pull the drum off, and we can see what's inside. All right, we showed you how to pull the hub, we put our hub puller on, we pulled the drum off. When we take the drum off, this is what we've got inside. Basic drum brake setup, leading shoe, trailing shoes. We've already removed the wheel cylinder. On this particular car, we had fluid leaks, and the system was dry, been sitting for a long time. So the shoes themselves look good. We've got plenty of meat on the shoes. All the springs in here look good. Somebody did a brake job, I don't know how many years ago, but the car hadn't gone very far or moved much since. But the hydraulic system, they get water in them. Brake fluid absorbs water out of the atmosphere, and so you can end up with rust, and the corrosion and crud and stuff gets in the hydraulic system, and so the seals will leak. So we've pulled the wheel cylinders out. We'll show you what the wheel cylinders look like. And because we're not doing a full brake job on this car, we were able to just cut the springs loose here, kind of move the shoe back out of the way, and slip the wheel cylinder out. So there's no real need to get in to take all of this stuff off. We're just kind of sneaking in and doing the hydraulic. So we've pulled all 4 wheel cylinders. We'll show you those. We're going to pull the master cylinder. We'll take it apart and rebuild it. We've got seals for that, and we'll be back with more. All right, so here we've got all 4 of our drums. We've pulled, these are the front drums. We've pulled them off. We've taken the seals out. We've taken the bearings out. We're going to repack the bearings. We've cleaned them up, so we've got nice clean surfaces in here. And we'll do a final clean before we actually assemble, but we've kind of degreased everything and cleaned it all up here. At this point, we've got our wheel cylinders here. So wheel cylinder looks like this. We've got pistons that go inside. So you've got piston in here, the pins on the drums push here. So you've got 2 pistons, pressurized fluid here, and it pushes the pistons out. And as they go out, they expand the shoes, and that's what stops the car. So we've cleaned up the pistons. These are the cup seals. So when you put them together, the pressure side is going to be on this side. So you want your flange here. So as this fluid gets pressurized, it's going to force this flange out against the bore inside the wheel cylinder, and that's what helps seal the system. And as we said before, this car had been sitting for a long time, and because hydraulic systems sit, a lot of times these seals, even though they've got fluid behind them, they tend to kind of dry out and they'll leak, so they bypass fluid, and over time then that fluid leaks out and causes no fluid to be in the system, therefore no brakes, and pedal goes to the floor and you can't stop the car. So that's what we were dealing with when we first got this vehicle. So you want to clean up the cylinders, wash them out real good, clean them up. Want to take some safety clean inside the bores, make sure that the bores are real clean and smooth in there. If there's any rough edges, you want to try and take that out. If there's rust and there's pitting, then generally you have to buy new cylinders. These are made out of cast iron, so they're steel. They'll rust. And so that's why it's important to flush brake fluid. Brake fluid should be flushed every couple of years, just to make sure that you're getting the water out, because brake fluid will absorb water right out of the atmosphere, and all brake systems are vented to atmosphere. So moisture, high humidity and stuff will contaminate the brake fluid. And that's a pretty good general rule for all cars. So that's our wheel cylinders, and we'll get new cups and cones for that. These boots go on the outside. That's what helps protect the pistons in there to keep them from getting crud and brake dust and things in there. So you want to try and keep these bores clean. Inside, like I said, you've got 2 pistons, 1 at each side. The spring goes in the middle. That helps keeps everything pushed out, so that you keep some tension on that. So that's basically how the wheel cylinders work. All 4 wheel cylinders work the same. Typically, front wheel cylinders are going to have a larger diameter than the rear wheel cylinders, because you want more braking at the front. And so a larger piston, and there's more to it than that, but typically the larger pistons will provide more oomph and therefore better stopping power at the front. It's important, as you can see, this wheel cylinder has got an intake port here. This is where the fluid comes in. This side's blanked off. This hasn't been drilled, and you've got your bleed screw. So when fluid goes in here, air will go to the top. You can loosen this and bleed the air out. Left cylinders are often different than right cylinders. Take them off, and as you can see, we have everything well organized here. We've got drums and wheel cylinders, drums, wheel cylinders, both front and back. So we're staying organized and we don't get our parts mixed up. If you did this every single day, you'd be used to looking at a cylinder and immediately say, oh, that's a right wheel cylinder or a left. But because we don't work on these all the time, and often when you're working on old stuff, maybe you're doing it for the first time, maybe you're doing it for the 10th time, but the last time you did it was 3 or 4 years ago. So in order to just stay organized, it's always best to do things in a methodical manner. And that's what we try to do here at RJ Garage. As we go back together, we'll bring you more tips and video on how this goes back together. Thank you.